Thank you. Good evening, council, staff, and public. My name is Kaitlyn Graham. I'm the financial analyst for the city of Burien, and I am joined with the city manager next to me. And in my presentation, I'm going to cover the 2025 property tax levy ordinance, the 2025 swim fees ordinance, and then continue the 2025 to 2026 preliminary budget review. So just to recap that, tonight we're having the public hearing and we're going to discuss everything that was just on that title slide. To start, I want to recap the financial forecast conversation we had on September 23rd, which feels like a lifetime ago. The city is structurally sound through 2025 to 2026, anticipating a slight operating deficit from 2027 to 2030. Additional service enhancements in the 2025 to 2026 biennium will likely require a corresponding revenue source from the general fund to remain structurally sound. So kind of the picture of where we're at and where we're going. I didn't realize I put animations on these slides. One moment. Get everything on there. In accordance with the city's financial policies, the 2025 preliminary budget includes a 1% limit factor for the property tax levy increase. And that first set of bullet points is just an example of what that 1% limit increase looks like. In Washington, property tax increases are not based on the increasing value of properties, but rather on the amount of the property taxes assessed in the previous year. So we use 2024's values for 2025. Each year's levies may be increased by no more than 1% unless the public votes for a greater increase. When we look at just kind of like a big picture of where does a residence property tax go, King County collects property taxes for government entities and then distributes the revenues back to those entities. The city of Burien is a recipient of roughly 7% of a Burien taxpayer's property tax. So for 2024, the median assessed value of a home is $539,000 with a tax rate of $11.27947 per 1,000 of assessed value. So this comes out to about $6,080 in property tax, with $450 of that $6,080 going to the city. So just an example of what that 7% or that it's like 85. I can't read that number, that 85 cents that the city gets of that $11. From 2023 to 2024, the increase in property tax levy was about $51,211 in revenue for the city. Property taxes account for about 23% of the city's general fund budget, roughly totaling $8.76 million. Property taxes fund the city's operating budget, including permitting and planning, parks programming, and police. So now I'm going to pivot to talking about the surface water management ordinance. Swim fees and charges are, in accordance with the city's financial policies, staff is recommending an annual increase to the surface water management or swim service charges by 3.8% to adjust for inflation. The proposed increase is based on the Consumer Price Index. The Surface Water Management Fund is an enterprise fund, meaning the costs for providing services are recovered through user charges. The proposed rates for 2025 are in that table below. So it's a 3.8% increase from 2024 to 2025 for each rate. I'll give you a brief moment to look at it and then we'll go to the next slide. Just kind of showing you the swim fund revenue source as its whole big picture. Swim fees and charges are the largest revenue source for the swim fund. These dollars fund the capital plan, capital improvements in the city, infrastructure improvements in the city, and professional services like street sweeping, pond cleaning, and the Miller/Walker Creek Basin Stewardship Program. And then additionally, there are new ecology requirements for water quality and flow control that will roughly increase project costs by 4 to 5 times, that we're gonna have to be in compliance with by June 2027. And then Rod, the Public Works Director, and I, we're looking currently at what the best management practices are and strategies on how we mitigate those costs when time comes. And then this is just an example of what the swim fees are used for. So just demonstrating using the fees, supporting dependable infrastructure in a sustainable environment. Also looks pretty defendable. And then pivoting to the 2025 to 2026 budget review. So for the 2025 preliminary revenues, looking at about 37.6 million in 2026, estimating around 38 million. For expenditures for the 2025 preliminary expenditures, looking at around 42 million in 2026, looking at around 42.1 million. And just to note, we do have a balanced budget. This is with the use of the city manager's designated reserve fund. It's not a sustainable funding source for the city. So that's where I was mentioning earlier, the slight operating deficit in 2027 to 2030. If we keep depleting the city manager's designated reserve fund, that's where we're going to start seeing that operating deficit. Some notable expenditures in the general fund to highlight. All ARPA dollars are under contract currently right now. So working on getting those programs dollars out the door to the community. And then just also to note, just cities experiencing larger than average increases in insurance in our police contract. And then the proposed financial policy, the only proposed financial policy change is again driven by financial policies, and it's increasing the per capita rate from $8.89 to $9.23 for human services programs. And this is adjusted annually also for inflation, so that 3.8%. And then looking at the street fund. Sorry, flipping to my slides. Oh, thank you. Just to note, like key revenue note, motor vehicle fuel tax is flatlining. That's a state shared revenue. So just in the future, we may have to look at increasing the vehicle tag fee. Not anything, we're proposing right now, but just something in the future. And the notable expenditures is the 5 new positions that are being shared with the Surface Water Management Fund. And then similarly for the Surface Water Management Fund, those same 5 positions and then an additional union position added to the maintenance crew. And then just wanted to highlight that the debt for the Ambom Regional Detention Pond expansion project will be paid off in 2026. And then really just briefly, big picture, proposed plan for the Parks and General Government capital improvement programs from 2025 to 2030. The proposed plans for the transportation capital projects from 25 to 2030. And then the proposed surface water management projects from 25 to 2030. And with that, staff recommends the opening of the public hearing to receive public comments from community members on the proposed revenue sources and expenditures.
Thank you very much.